Alright, welcome everyone to the evidence reveal for the 2015 Stan Lee's Comikaze Ghost Hunt held at the Heritage Square Museum and hosted by Haunted Orange County. Before I start, I want to thank all of those that attended and participated in the paranormal investigation event. It was definitely an interesting night. Now, I was paired up with Kristen Luman of Syfy's Ghost Mine, and we specifically investigated the Perry Mansion at the Heritage Square Museum. Now, for those that have been to the Heritage Square Museum or have seen my previous evidence videos about the Heritage Square Museum and the things that we've captured there, you'll know that we have had a lot of experiences with audio phenomenon, specifically EVP phenomenon. And this investigation was no different. We did definitely have some EVP captures over the evening with almost all 4 groups. Now, the majority of them were Class C EVPs, and me being me, I only present the best of the best. So I do have 6 audio EVP clips that I will be presenting to you for this reveal, and these are the best clips that we captured throughout the night. 3 of these were actually captured in the Perry Mansion with a couple of different groups, and the other 3 EVPs were actually captured by my wife Cassie, as she was able to free roam investigate throughout the other 3 homes, which were the Valley Knudsen house, the Octagon house, and the Hale house. So I will be presenting those EVPs as well, since she was able to capture some pretty interesting stuff. Alright, so let's get started. We're actually going to go ahead and start off with the captures that my wife was able to collect in her investigations of the other 3 houses. So these 3 captures in particular are from those separate investigations. Now, I will inform you that out of the 3 houses that she did investigate, she was only able to capture evidence in 2 of the houses. She was not able to capture evidence in the Valley Knudsen house, but she was able to capture 2 prominent EVPs in the Hale house with Don Staggs, and in the Octagon house with Ben Hansen. Now, Don Staggs is a former Haunted Orange County member. He's very well known in the paranormal community, very well respected, and so it's always an honor to investigate with him, and he always produces pretty damn good results. So the EVP captures that she was able to pick up when she was investigating with Dawn, we'll play those in a moment. Now, first up is the only Class B EVP that Cassie was able to capture in the Octagon house. Now, this EVP in particular actually came through during the first EVP session that they conducted with Group A in the Octagon house. This was led by Ben Hansen. If you don't know, Ben Hansen was the host and lead investigator of the sci-fi show Fact or Faked Paranormal Files. So having him there was great, and it looks like my wife was able to capture a few EVPs, but this one in particular was the best out of the captures that she was able to collect. Now this again was recorded during the first EVP session, and you'll hear Ben ask a question, and then you will hear some silence, and then you will hear a voice respond. Once you hear the voice respond, then you'll hear someone else talk. And the interesting part about it, when I listened to the recordings, was that no one tagged the actual voice, so this was not heard at the time. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you now, and just listen for the voice in the silence, and you'll hear a direct response to the question that he asks. Here we go.
Well, does it take a lot of energy to move that water bottle, just nudge it off? Just a tiny little nudge.
Okay, so that is a clip of Ben Hansen asking the spirit to move a water bottle. Now, in that moment of silence, you will hear a female voice respond. It's a one-word response, and it's a direct response or reply to his question. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to isolate that one area where the spirit appears to respond to Ben, so you can listen more clearly to the EVP. Now, the only editing that I will do to the EVP is to increase the volume. I do not edit to remove noise factors or to, clean up the sound. To me, the pure EVP should speak for itself, but I know sometimes people can't hear it. Now, I have classified it as a Class B EVP because through regular listening, I was able to hear it myself with my own ears. Some other people might not have the same hearing abilities that I do, but I'm going to go ahead and amplify it so that you can hear it a little clearer and get a clear idea of what is being spoken. So I'll go ahead and play that for you now. Okay, so I played the audio clip for you 3 times, and if you listen close, it sounds like the female is giving a yes response to Ben. Again, Ben's request was for the spirit to push over or move a water bottle that he had sitting on a table. So he asks, "Can you move the water bottle?" And the spirit responds, "Yes." So again, Class B EVP, I'll go ahead and replay that for you here 3 more times. Okay, so now moving on to the next EVP. I do want to make a quick correction. Now, there were actually 2 EVPs captured in the Octagon house with Ben Hansen, and only 1 EVP capture with Don Staggs in the Octagon house. I will get to that EVP shortly, but we're going to finish up the Octagon house here and set up the next EVP clip. And this one was also recorded during the first EVP session, and again, it's a voice that was not heard at the time of the recording. Okay, so what you'll hear in this clip is Ben finishing up the EVP session on his recorder and then saying that he's going to go ahead and play back the audio and asking if the spirit's voice will be on the audio playback. Shortly after he finishes speaking the second time, you will hear an immediate response that sounds like a loud whisper.
Okay, I'm going to play back my audio recorder. Is your voice going to be on there?
Now, again, it's right after the second portion of him speaking. Once he has finished speaking, you will hear a whispered voice immediately reply. Now, I'm going to go ahead again and isolate that clip and amplify the sound so that you're able to hear what is being spoken. Now, you're listening for 2 rapid words that are being spoken. Here's the clip. Now, hopefully you were able to hear that clearly. I've classified that as sort of a borderline Class A/B EVP. The clarity of it was pretty obvious to me what was being spoken. Now, what I am hearing is the words "it is." So his request was, "Are we going to hear your voice after we play back the audio?" Now that, of course, I'm just paraphrasing what he said, but the immediate response is, "It is." So I'm going to play that for you again 3 more times so that you can listen and hear what I'm hearing, which is the words, "It is." Here we go. Okay, so that does it for the Octagon house. We're going to move on to the Hale house, which was led by Don Staggs, and we were able to capture 1 EVP in that house. There were actually a couple of other captures, but they were Class C EVPs and very difficult to really listen to without heavily editing the audio, which I do not do. So I'm going to go ahead and play for you the best clip that was captured in that house during the first EVP session that was conducted with Dawn Staggs. Okay, so for this clip, you will hear Dawn ask about the spirit staying upstairs in the house or coming downstairs in the house. And you'll hear a moment of silence, and then before the next person starts speaking, you will hear a whispered voice respond right before the next person starts talking. So it's very clear what's being spoken. So I'll let you listen to the clip and decide for yourself what is being said. And then I'll review it with you, of course, and tell you what I'm hearing is actually being spoken.
Do you come downstairs in this house, or do you stay upstairs? Noise shuffling.
What is your favorite room in this house?
Okay, so there you heard, right before the woman starts to speak, you hear a voice reply in a whispered tone. I'm going to go ahead and replay the isolated clip for you so that you can hear exactly what's being spoken. Here we go. Okay, so right there, it sounds like a woman is responding to Dawn and saying the word down. Now that is an intelligent response directly to this question of whether the spirit stays upstairs or downstairs, and the spirit replies down. This is definitely a Class A EVP. This was not heard by anyone nor tagged by anyone at the time. As you can tell, someone starts talking immediately after the EVP comes through. So the idea of an intelligent response responding to Dawn and his question is pretty profound. So it was an excellent capture, so very much appreciated, and I'm very glad that my wife was there to be able to capture that EVP. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you a few more times so that you can hear again that the spirit is actually saying the word down. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to move on to the Perry Mansion captures that myself and Kristen Luman were able to come up with during our investigations with the various 4 groups that rotated throughout the evening. Now, those that were in attendance remember that I was talking about how a couple of years ago at the Heritage Square Museum within the actual Perry Mansion, myself and some of the Haunted Orange crew and other investigators were talking about how one of William Perry's daughters was really into opera music. And when I reviewed the audio from that investigation 2 years ago, we found out that there was actually singing that came through over our talking. So that was an incredible experience, and keeping that in mind, myself and Kristen, we tried with every group to recreate the scenario and see if we could capture singing. Later on, with one of the other groups, we found out that one of William Perry's daughters, Mamie Perry, was actually an opera singer. So that information itself actually validated the experience that I had 2 years prior. As luck turns out, we actually did end up capturing singing with at least 3 of the 4 groups that we investigated with. Now, these were at various times of the evening, and the singing actually came through mostly in the living room, which was the main part where we were investigating. And so these next 2 clips, or these last 2 clips actually, will be the EVP recordings of the singing that we captured. So I'm actually telling you ahead of time what to listen for, because I believe that because these aren't words that are being spoken, this is actual singing. Now, throughout the investigation, at various points in time, Kristen actually used her cell phone to look up one of the opera songs that Mamie Perry was known for singing, and so she played that music and asked for Mamie to basically finish the song. When we were there, we didn't actually hear this singing come through. It wasn't until I reviewed the audio that I heard this for myself. So I'm going to go ahead and play the first clip for you now. It's going to go all the way through, so you'll hear the actual song that we played. You'll hear Kristen request for her to keep singing, and then you'll actually hear a spirit respond by singing to us. So here is the clip.
You must have had a beautiful voice to debut in Milan. So if you could let us hear it after I turn this off, we greatly appreciate it.
Okay, so now that I've played the clip all the way through, you can hear that there is singing that comes through shortly after the song ends. You'll hear silence, and then you'll hear a woman actually singing or humming along with the music that was playing prior. Now, I don't know if the singing itself was actually the same song that was playing over, or if it was a different song, but there is definitely singing that comes through there. So I'm going to go ahead and isolate the clip and play that for you again, and listen very closely for the singing that you'll hear. Here we go. So there you have it, singing that comes through after we request for it to happen. The crazy part about it is that it's like it's an actual song that's being sung. Now, to me, it sounds like perhaps maybe Mamie was singing maybe a warm-up, because it sounds more like humming, but it's definitely, there are definitely different tones that come through. But it's an incredible capture, and subsequently not the only time that we captured singing in the Perry Mansion. So I'm going to go ahead and play that clip for you so you can hear it again. Again, listen closely, and this is an incredible EVP capture of singing captured in the Perry Mansion. Here we go. Okay, so this next clip is also singing, also captured in the Perry Mansion. However, this one was actually captured with a different group. The one that we just listened to was captured with Group B, which was, I believe, the very last group that investigated with us in the Perry Mansion. The next clip you'll hear was captured with Group C, which was the second group that investigated with us. So I'm going to go ahead and play that clip for you now, and you can hear singing come through right after one of us stops talking.
I'm going to play the song that she debuted.
Okay.
If we can't.
Okay, now in this clip, incredibly, you'll hear that we are about to play the opera song that she was known to sing, and just before we start playing the clip, you hear me just kind of acknowledge and say, okay, and right after I finish speaking, you immediately hear a woman singing. Now again, none of these EVPs that have been captured so far that I presented to you were heard at the time. So here is that clip, the isolated clip, one more time, and you'll be able to hear the singing very clearly. Here we go.
If we can't. If we can't. If we can't.
Okay, and there you have it. Very clearly you hear a woman singing. Definitely feels great to have been able to capture the singing that we wanted to get, the activity that we wanted to permeate from the type of experiments that we were conducting during those EVP sessions. Now, the other clips that we recorded of the singing were not as clear, so I'm not presenting those to you now, but it was definitely interesting to hear those on playback. A notable experience that didn't have any audio or video evidence to back it up was actually a cabinet door that opened up in the dining room on its own, and everyone was in the dining room. We were just kind of talking amongst each other, and just out of nowhere one of the cabinet doors opens up on its own, and everyone was just kind of baffled by it, and we tried to debunk it, and we're not able to disprove what happened. No matter what we tried, everything that we tried didn't work. So just a notable personal experience that was actually witnessed by multiple people. So overall, the evening was great, and we captured a lot of evidence and had a lot of different experiences. So very happy with what the end result was for the entire investigation overall. So before I leave you, I'm going to go ahead and play that clip one more time of the singing from Mamie Perry. And again, an incredible capture, and I am ecstatic to hopefully return to this location in the near future and get another chance to capture her singing one more time. So here's that clip one more time.
If we can't. If we can't. If we can't.
Again, thank you all for listening to this reveal of the evidence that we captured at the Heritage Square Paranormal Investigation event. And thank you again to all of those that attended, and to the special guest investigators that were leading the groups at the Heritage Square Museum. And those were Susan Slaughter from Ghost Hunters International, Chad Lindberg from Ghost Stalkers, Ben Hansen from Factor Faked Paranormal Files, and Kristen Luman from Ghost Mind, as well as Don Staggs, Psychic Medium and Empath. So it was a great event. Again, thank you everyone, and thank you all for the support. Until next time, happy hauntings.